Hi everyone, so in front of me today we've got three cameras. From the left we've got the Sony A7r2, in the middle the new Sony A7 III, and on the right the Sony A7r3. And what I'm going to try and do today is just test whether they overheat or not, because one of the problems with the Sony cameras in the past is that when they're filming in 4K they do have a tendency to overheat sometimes. So I've tried to keep it as equal as possible. So what I've done is I've put fresh batteries in. Now this is not a battery test, so don't worry too much if the batteries go differently, especially the A7R2, which of course uses the old style battery. On the A7R2, of course, I've used a single card because that's all it's got. On the R3 and the A7 III, they've both got dual SD cards in. They're all on manual focus. On the R3 and the 3, they're going to dual record to both cards because I feel that's how most videographers will probably film. You know, once you've got dual card slots, there really isn't a reason to film on single card slot. So I've pulled the screen out from the back to help with the heat. That's one of the things that people used to do a lot to try and keep the camera as cool as possible. So what we'll do now is we'll start all three off and we'll see how they go. Just one more thing, the A7R2 on the left, that's got the hack on it, so it will go over 30 minutes. But what we'll do is we'll come back and restart the others if it lasts more than 30 minutes. And all we're looking for really is how long it takes before the overheat sign comes on, if at all it comes on at all, because this is, being honest, the first time I'll have tried it on the A7 III. I've tried it on the R3 before in the past and it's been a lot better actually. So that's it. So here we go. Let's start them off. 1, 2, 3. Oh, one sec. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so the A7 III in the middle is approaching the 30-minute limit, and obviously the A7R3 is only a couple of seconds behind. So far, none of them have the overheating symbol on that I can see. I'm going to let the A7R2 continue. Oh, that one stopped, so I'll start that up again. That one's... Oops, sorry, need to reprogram those buttons. There you go. So we're on 30 minutes about now, and we'll keep going and see what happens. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a problem here in that the battery on the camera that I'm filming on, which is the A6500, is down to about 4%. And as you can see, the A7R2 on the left, even though I've plugged an external battery in to try and keep it going, that's showing currently as pretty much dead. And the two newer ones, they're at 28 minutes on the second time around. So as you can see from my stopwatch on the right, we're coming up to an hour, and so far not one of them has got the overheating sign on, which is really good to see. So what I'll do now is just stop the clocks and let me replace the batteries on both the 6500 and the A7R2. So I'll be as quick as I can with it. So be literally a couple of seconds, well, more than a couple of seconds, but hopefully we'll get them swapped around and continue the test. But yeah, so far it's really good to see because we're up to an hour now. Actually, change of plans. Oh, actually, I'll do it now because this one's now, the A6500 is down to 1%. Okay. Okay, so that was about a minute to change all the batteries around. So I'm just going to start them all up again now. Oops, the middle one's not started. Okay, so we're about to get to the, well, another half hour where I have to stop and start the A7R3. The A7 III, as you can see, overheated and shut itself down. The A7R2 and the A7R3 are still going strong, no overheating sign on it yet. So I'm also running out of space on the A6500 that I'm filming with, because being honest with you, I didn't expect it to last this long. I would have expected, well, my first thoughts was that they'd overheat long before now. So in a way, it's really reassuring to see that the R3 and the R2 haven't overheated, and even the A3 it's survived really well, really. So what I'll do is I'll swap the SD card around once we get to the 30-minute mark, and then if it still doesn't overheat on the next round, then I'm just gonna call it a day. So yeah, so we'll keep it going for a bit longer, and then I'll swap it around. Okay, and we're back. Sorry, it took a bit longer than I thought to swap the cards around. I couldn't quite get my fingers around the SD while it was on the tripod. So, but we're all good. Everything's still working, and as you can see, everything's still recording. Still no overheat sign. Okay, so we're on the last minute of the A7R3 before I have to stop and start the clock again. I think we're going to call it quits here. It's nearly been 2 hours now, and so far no sign of the overheating on either the R2 or the R3. They're all set to normal power saving, the normal heat protection. I can't remember what the exact menu is called, but it's not set to the high version. So if there was a heat issue, then I would have expected it to come up by now. So yeah, so what I'll do is I'll stop it, and then I'll just give you what my thoughts are on this. So as you can see, all three cameras have been put through the paces. I think each has its strengths and weaknesses, and I'll just quickly go through them. So both the R2 and the R3 didn't overheat, despite having to get to the point where I had to swap the batteries on the R2. On the R3, obviously, I kept having to stop it every 30 minutes. So both of them didn't overheat, but the A7 III did. Now, if you look at how long they both recorded for, I certainly don't think it was a big issue. In the UK, we don't typically film anything for longer than an hour. I mean, even the longest ceremonies in the UK, the wedding ceremonies, tend to be about 45 minutes. So assuming we start it a little bit before and stop it afterwards, as long as we can get to the camera halfway through to bypass the 30-minute limit, then it's more than capable of doing it. And the same goes with the R3. The A7 II, again, whilst it didn't overheat, the battery life and the single card slot now, I think, lets it down a bit. If these two weren't available and didn't give me the security of knowing that, you know, my video is recorded on dual card slots, then this would be a good choice. So if I had to pick one camera, because none of these are ideal, you know, this one, the battery life is worse, but you can hack it to bypass the 30-minute limit. This one did eventually overheat. This one didn't overheat, but you know, it's the most expensive camera here. So if I have to choose one, which one would it be? Like I mentioned, for me personally in the UK, it would be the A7 III purely because of the price. and the features, you know, the dual card slots, the longer lasting battery, and just the sheer low light performance, which of course we haven't tested in this video. That to me makes this a very compelling choice for wedding filming at the moment. So that's my opinion. Obviously, share your comments below. Let me know what you think. Thanks very much for watching.